Hey guys, welcome in this new video. I hope that all of you are doing great. So in this video, what we're going to do is that we're going to go on the market and I'm going to show you guys a trade that I took yesterday on Euro USD, and I'm really going to explain you guys everything about it. So the fundamental analysis, the technical analysis, and I'm going to show you guys the reasons of why I took this trade so you can learn from my experience and you can apply this in your trading to improve your results as well. So guys, I'm telling you, this video is going to be extremely valuable. So you want to make sure to stay until the end of it because I'm going to share with you as much knowledge as I possibly can. So it will be an amazing one. So if you guys are excited for that, make sure that you drop a like on the video. It would help me grow the channel more, and make sure that you are subscribed as well if it's not already done. So with all of that being said, let's not waste any more time and let's go on the markets. All right. So let's take a look at this. So first of all, right, let me actually show you guys what is the trade in itself. So as you guys can see, I have it on my chart right here. So Euro USD daily chart. So if we zoom in a bit, as you guys can see, so I got short on this pair. So I sold the pair at this level right here with a stop loss at this level and a first target around these lows. So I have a 3-to-1 risk to reward ratio. We can see it here. And basically, as you guys can see, this trade is already running very well. It's in profit and it's actually looking pretty good for a continuation. So I'm going to explain you guys everything about this trade. As I said, the fundamental analysis, the technical analysis, when I took the trade, for what reasons, and all of that. So it's going to be extremely valuable. All right, so one of the most important things to understand is that whenever that I take a trade, it's because I was already looking at potentially taking this trade at least a few days earlier. So all the trades that I take are always planned, and it was the case for this one. So I'm going to show you guys the weekly market analysis video that I do for Reversal Master members. So in our private group, I record a weekly market analysis video where I go on the markets, I show all my analysis, I show all my trades, and I've been doing this video for years. And so basically, members have access to everything that I do on markets. They can see all my trades and stuff like that. And in the last weekly review, so the one that I recorded last weekend, well, I basically explained everything about this trade. So I'm not going to run the whole video. It's going to be a bit too long for no reason, but I'm just going to show you guys a small part of it where I kind of explain where I want to get in the trade and stuff like that. So I have it right here. So let's watch this together. So we have a nice correction. And as you guys can see, we have a lot of lows right here. So one trade here that I will keep an eye on is, as you guys can see, we have an impulse. We are getting a small correction here on the lower time frame around the trend line. So if we actually break under the trend line, we break under these lows, this could be for me a potential trade idea. So taking this short right here with a stop, well, probably above this level here, right, as you guys can see, and it will also be above the last correction. So as you guys can see, right, as I said, I'm not going to run this for too long because that's not really the point, but this just goes to show you guys that whenever that I take a trade, it's really important for me to, have been looking for this trade for quite some time. So as you can see, right, I was already looking at this potential breakout. I was interested in this trade. The only thing that I was waiting to see was what would happen with the Fed that we had Wednesday. So yesterday, basically, we had the Fed conference about, what they are planning to do with interest rate and stuff like that. And I was really waiting for that event because I knew that it would be a really important one for the market. And so I'm going to explain you guys what happened during this event, and you will see how this actually helped me decide on whether I wanted to take the trade or not. So as you guys saw, right, in terms of technicals, I mean, this was a very simple trade, right? So if you look at the weekly chart, Euro USD was already in a downtrend. We made this correction. We pulled back all the way to this level right here, the trend line, the moving averages. So this correction here was looking very clear. And so the breakout to me was looking very interesting. The only thing that I needed to see was, well, are we going to get some help from fundamentals? And that's the reason why it was so important to wait to see what would happen on Wednesday. So yesterday, as I said, we had the Fed. In our private group, I basically documented the whole event and I kept everyone updated. So I'm going to put some screenshot on the chart right now, so you guys will be able to read this with me. So basically the statement was out. So Fed says asset purchases to conclude in early March. Fed says it will soon be appropriate to raise funds rates. So this was already sounding like they were more inclined to raise rates sooner than later to control inflation. After that, let's look at what I said after that, Fed to be guided by incoming data, evolving outlook. So it will basically depend on what the data will show in the next couple of weeks and months. After that, Powell said may move sooner, faster on balance sheet than last time. So they are more aggressive, they are hawkish, they are going to, take this seriously, and they're not going to let inflation rot. After that, I was looking at a short-term trend line on the S&P. After that, quite a bit of room to raise rates without hurting jobs. This was a really, really important comment. So basically, he says that he doesn't really care, about if the markets are going down right now, right? The stock market. It's not really his worry because, at the end of the day, right, like the central bank goal is not to control the stock market, right? It's to control employment and it's to control inflation, right? To make sure that the economy is running well and that inflation is not running too high. So if inflation is really high, they're going to do everything they can to lower inflation by rising interest rate, right? And so that's basically what they said. After that, if they need to hike interest rate to control inflation, they will. I think the stock market won't like this hawkish message, but at this point, with inflation at record levels for the last 40 years, I think they don't care about that at all. So that is what I explained. This was my thinking process while going into all of this. And so this was extremely hawkish, right? I can also show you guys this article right here. So these were really the two main headlines, as I said, right? So Powell says he doesn't rule out hiking at every meeting. So they are extremely aggressive in terms of potential hiking rates. And he said quite a bit of room to raise rates without hurting jobs. And so basically what that means is that, people, when the event started, right, people were expecting that Powell would really be, he would be calm, he would not be too aggressive with his message and stuff like that, because the stock market was already, in a state of panic a bit, right? Like it was a really important event. Everyone was watching it and people thought that Powell would kind of, take a step back, right, and kind of relax a bit to not stress the market too much. But he did the exact opposite. He was just like, let's hike rates. We don't really care about the stock market. Let's control inflation. And so this sent a really negative signal to the stock market, right? So if we go back on, let's say, the S&P chart, and we go on the lower time frame to show you guys what I was looking at. So this was the conference yesterday, right? So as you guys can see, we were trading around these levels here, and I was looking basically at this short-term trend line, right? As you guys saw earlier in the group. And after that, right, the market literally broke to the downside because it's not a good message to the stock market, right? Powell says that he's not going to help the stock market, whether it goes down or up. He doesn't really care about this. So it sent the stock market to the downside. And so what is important here to understand is that with this really hawkish message from the Fed, this helps one thing, which is the dollar. So the USD gained a lot of value since yesterday. It's the same thing for today. And it really helps simply because when people get out of the stock market, right? Well, in a way, they're kind of buying the USD, right? So when they close a position, when they have stocks and they sell it to get back their dollars, well, in a way, they're kind of bullish on the dollar, right? So the hawkishness from the Fed really helped the dollar to gain more value, and everything related to hiking interest rates and stuff like that. This is extremely positive for the dollar index. So if I show you guys the dollar index chart over the long term, right? So as you guys can see, we've been in a really strong uptrend for the last couple of months, almost a year, I would even say, right? And this has really been based on the idea that at some point the Fed is going to raise interest rate and stuff like that. And so to me, when I saw this yesterday, I was like, wow, that is extremely bullish for the USD. So now, not only do I have a good technical setup for Euro USD, but I also have the fundamentals that are behind this idea. So what did I do? Well, if we go back on Euro USD, we look at the 1 hour chart. So as you guys can see, we were making a correction before the conference, and yesterday when Powell really said all of his hawkish comments, it really sent the market to the downside. So this is where the USD started to gain value, and I decided to get short right here on Euro USD. So not only we were breaking under this low because of USD strength, but we were also breaking under all these lows right here. And so this was looking really negative for the Euro USD pair. So I got short right here with a stop loss, as you guys saw in the weekly review, above all these highs. So I wanted to let enough room for the market to potentially develop. And then after that, my first target is down here. So what do we have down here? We have this long-term trend line taking this low and this one together. We have this trend line as well. And if we put on a fib, so if we fib this whole down move and we add the 27 extension, we have this zone as well. And what we also have is these lows right here. Okay, so this to me looks like the next potential big area for the price to go. We will be around many obstacles, so it doesn't mean that I'm necessarily going to close the trade at this level if it gets there, right? But I could decide to either, you know, secure some profit, close a bit of the position, or maybe just get out totally. It will depend on what I think about fundamentals if we get there, right? So it's not a necessity, right? It doesn't mean that just because we're breaking out today, we will get there, right? I mean, there are no certainties on the market. But at this point, right, we have a really strong breakout. Fundamentals are pointing in this direction, technicals as well. So, I mean, it's looking pretty good, I would say, for a continuation to the downside at this point, which is why the trade is already running in pretty nice profit. So that's basically the idea. And so the dollar index is the same, but the opposite way, right? So the way that the dollar index is calculated, it has about 50% of euros, which is why dollar index, euro USD, they look kind of the same, but in opposite direction, right? So dollar index, we broke to the upside. The next level to watch is this one. And if we break, well, we could continue, right? So I don't know how far this will go, but if we look at the long-term chart, right? Well, we can see that it's been doing up and down around these levels. And we recently, well, in the last year, let's say, rejected all these lows, which were at the same time big highs that we had before in 29, 2010, etc. So that's pretty big, right? And right now it's going back up. So who knows, it might be able to go back to here or even to here, right? It kind of reminds me of the same idea on Euro USD, right? But maybe we will get back to here and maybe we'll break to the downside, right? I mean, we don't know, everything is possible from here, but that's basically how I took this trade. So as you guys can see, in terms of technicals, it was not really complex, right? So it was already in a downtrend. We had made a big pullback. We had a very clear correction and I waited for the breakout. The breakout, to me, really the strong signal of the breakout was the break of the trend line, break under these lows. And as you guys can see, the RSI was holding very nicely around the 50 level. And if you guys, for those of you guys who are in our mentorship program, right, you know that the 50 level on the RSI is a really big level. So that's the idea. So overall, it was looking really good. It was looking like the correction was over. We needed to wait for a confirmation of what the Fed would do. They said yesterday a lot of hawkishness. This is really positive for the USD, and that's how I took the trade. So that is basically the idea of it. Now I'm going to ride the trend, right? As you guys know, if you've been following me for quite some time, I don't close the trades too early or stuff like that. I like to let the time for the market to develop, right? And just, you know, give it a lot of space to make sure that I don't interfere myself with the trade and that I just let my ideas develop, right? Also, what I wanted to show you guys is that a lot of our members were able to take the same trade as me. So again, I will put some screenshots here on the screen. So as you guys can see, we have Luca, who was able to short Euro USD. He has a position running in over $600 profit. So that's pretty cool. And then after that, we have as well Joey, who was able to take the same short as me, and Joshua as well, who took the same position. So I mean, that's amazing, right? And that is the power, guys, of being in our private group. So not only all of our members saw that I was looking at this potential trade in the weekly review a couple of days ago, I made a follow-up with this trade in our trading group. Yesterday during the Fed, I was covering the whole event live. We all figured out that it was positive for the USD, and because of that, a lot of our members were able to profit from this move. And so this is just one example, right? But it goes to show you guys how powerful it is, right, to actually be in our group and just have access to all of this, right? So if you guys are interested in that, as always, the link is in the description box below. Go on the website and enroll with us. I'm telling you, this will be your best move of 2022. So I'm really pushing the program right now simply because I know how valuable it is, right? I know how, you know, it can change someone's life, and I just want to help as many people as possible become profitable in trading. So that's the idea for the video. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope that you got a lot of value from it as well. I really tried to cover everything that happened on a fundamental basis, right? And keep in mind that in terms of fundamental, yes, we had the Fed, but we also have other points right now that are very interesting. So for example, right, we have the beginning of a deeper stock market correction, and this is really positive for the USD. I've explained that earlier in the video, right? So people convert back their stocks to USD. And we also have a potential invasion in Ukraine from Russia. Now, this would also be positive for the USD because the USD is seen as a safe haven, right? Well, not really as a safe haven, but it's more kind of the reserve currency of the world, if you want. So when there is a lot of fear, when it's not really going well for the stock market and stuff like that, people tend to go back to the USD. So if there is actually an invasion in Ukraine from Russia, it's really going to push the USD even more to the upside. So that is really being important to watch. So as you guys can see, a lot of fundamentals were positive for the USD, and I just waited for a technical breakout. So I think that this really shows you guys well how I look at the markets and how I trade. Of course, I don't have the time in this free video to explain literally every single thing, right? That's the reason why our program exists. But I hope I was able to at least give you guys a good idea of how I went about taking this trade and everything about it. So if you guys got value out of the video, make sure that you leave a like under it. As I said, don't forget to share it around. And on that, take care, trade with care, manage your money well, and I will see you in my next video. Bye-bye.